Hi everyone, this is Joseph from Kirkpatrick Price, and I'm bringing a message to the security and compliance leaders who are out there, reminding you to stay positive and keep your teams being productive and efficient during this workplace upheaval that we're going through right now. You know, as leaders, we want to make sure that our people don't succumb to fear. And when we think about the great speeches that were done in history, you think of people like FDR and JFK who addressed fear and how we're supposed to face it. And even in the Bible, the most common command that's in there is do not fear. And so why is that necessary for us as humans to be reminded not to fall prey to fear? It's because too often when things are different and things are going a way that we don't want it to, we get inside of our heads and we start overthinking things and we start being uncertain and not really sure where to go. And so I think when we're facing fear, 10% of the people out there will fight, 10% will take flight, and then 80% will freeze. And I don't want to be one of those people who freezes during all this. I want to be a fighter, and I want to address this head on, and I want to stay positive, and I want to lead my team in doing things that are effective and productive. I want to stay busy so that when we come out of this on the other side, we're ready for what our customers are needing from us, what the market needs, and we will have learned some things and grown during a difficult circumstance rather than just sitting back and waiting and worrying about what's going on. And so maybe you've heard about the Stockdale Principle. James Stockdale ran for vice president several years back. And one of the things that he learned as a prisoner of war was that you can't just have everything rosy and tell your people that, oh, you know, everything's optimistic and everything's going to be fine. You have to measure that with a dose of reality. You have to embrace the facts and understand the thing that you're facing, but you can still maintain that optimism and say, everything's going to be okay. We're going to get on the other side of this and it'll be fine. And so he was the person who was famous for saying, who am I? Why am I here? And I think that that's one thing that we can do as leaders. I call it window time. I think I heard that from Dave Ramsey, that as a leader, you have to take time away from the office, which is really easy to do right now, and look out the window and just imagine what the future looks like. Think about new ideas and get really clear about who you are and where you're going as an organization. And so you answer that question about who am I and why am I here, and take that back to the team and say, okay, this is what we're going to do during this time period. And you inspire them and you give them work and you give them goals and you give them projects to do so that they don't start overthinking things by getting inside of their head. And so I've done this recently as we've been going through all these changes, and I've really thought about, okay, what's most important right now? And for me, as a leader of a security team, number one is I don't want my employees to be affected. I want their jobs to be protected. I don't want anyone to be impacted by everything that's going on. And so that's one of the things that I can work on and control to some extent without worrying about everybody else and everything else that's going on. And so that's first and foremost for me, is taking care of the employees. And then number two, I want to keep them busy because I don't want them to worry. I don't want them to get distracted. I don't want them to be overtaken by, you know, just all of the things that are happening and changing and stressing people out. And so I'm working really hard trying to get as many projects going as I can to keep them busy so that they can maintain a positive attitude. So I just wanted to share with the security and compliance leaders some ideas about projects that we can really accomplish and do a good job on even while we're working remotely and in a virtual sense as a team. And so maybe these are some ideas that you can implement in your own business. First and foremost is remote access. I'm hearing from a lot of people that, you know, they've set up remote access for the first time for some employees. They had laptops to give them, or maybe they didn't, and they're letting them use home devices. They had to set up VPNs and methods of accessing the systems remotely. And so we hurried through that. We did that so fast. Maybe we were sloppy. Maybe we missed some things. Maybe we enabled insecure protocols. Maybe we skipped over the step of putting two-factor authentication in place. And so we can, while we're working virtually, go back and check those things. That's a great initiative to undertake, let's check our remote access. Let's check the security of accessing our networks and our production environment and our cloud security tools that we use. Let's make sure that those things are being done in a secure way by going back and spending the time in checking that. The second thing is business continuity testing. This is a great time to get that accomplished. A lot of your compliance frameworks that you have to accomplish throughout the year require you to have an annual BCP test. And so right now, while you're in this effort of continuing your business, it's a great opportunity if you have some time available because your regular job has been taken away from you or you're not able to do the typical things that you did on a day-to-day basis. Let's go ahead and run one of our tests. You know, when I look at the different restaurants that are out there that have had to modify their business in order to stay open and continue to serve the public, I've seen restaurants that had to close down in order to modify their menu and get the supplies that they needed in order to accommodate a delivery and takeout type of existence. But then I saw other restaurants who already had that. They already knew what to do. They didn't skip a beat. By having the things available and continuing to continue their business. And so that's what business continuity is about. So we can test that while we're in this mode. We can come up with a scenario and say, okay, what if we didn't have this person available? Or what if we didn't have this service available? Or we didn't have, you know, our access to the office? Use this time to document that as your test and check off one of your compliance goals for the year. The other thing that we see a lot that would be a great initiative to undertake while you're working remotely is documenting disaster recovery procedures. When we do our audits of companies, one of the most common things that we find is the procedures are outdated and people just didn't have time to update those because they're busy with their regular job. And so now, if you are not able to do what you normally did, let's use this time to document some of our disaster recovery procedures, doing backups, setting up new systems, running certain processes. The reason those things need to be documented is in a disaster, you might not have the person available to do the task that they're supposed to do because maybe they were impacted by the disaster, or maybe IT or developers are too busy doing something. They need somebody to follow very detailed procedures and get that done. And so now's a great time to get your people involved in working together as a team and documenting those steps, walking through those processes so that you'll know what to do when you face that the next time. Another idea of something that's great to undertake while you're working remotely is penetration testing. That's something that can be done from the outside. We don't have to be in the office. And so a lot of times we do our bare minimum during the year on pen testing by maybe running an external test only, but we don't test our mobile applications and we don't test our web APIs, and maybe we're not testing our internal network or our cloud environment. And so all of that can be done remotely. So this is a great opportunity while we're working in this way to get that accomplished and get that done. Similarly, another project that's really great to do is a cloud security assessment. Maybe we migrated to the cloud a couple years ago and we were doing that for the first time and we set it up and we think we were following best practices, but we're busy with our jobs. We have our normal duties in front of us, and so we didn't have time to really go back and check that. But now maybe we do, and so it's a great way to do something remotely. Go back and check that we secured that environment. We set up the policies the way we expected them to. Our AWS security groups are the way that they're supposed to look. That's something that can be done during this time. And then finally, security awareness training. I think this is a great opportunity to have your employees who have been displaced and maybe don't know exactly how they're going to do all of their job in this scenario. We can get the training accomplished while we're all working from home. A lot of the compliance frameworks require you to do that at least once a year. And so let's have everyone complete that. And then I'd also encourage you to consider your IT and your development staff, who sometimes we put off getting them really quality training because they don't have the time for it. And so let's get them to accomplish some of that now so that their skills can grow. They can learn something new and sharpen the sword and be ready to go whenever we get back in the office and get back to our normal work days. So I hope these were some good ideas that you can use in your business, some projects that you can undertake, some initiatives that you can lead to keep your people positive and efficient during this time of workplace upheaval. And of course, if you need any help, if you want to talk to us, if we can support you in any way with any of these projects or anything else, please don't hesitate to contact us at kirkpatrickprice.com.